Hello all, welcome to Great Someday. This is going to be a two-parter. Just wanted to show you the first part. This is a roaster oven, and inside there are a bunch of soup bones, which might be just kind of mostly unusable for many people, but we get those when we get our butcher. We have them give us all the soup bones. So I'm having one canner here, a roaster oven. And then another roaster is here. As you see, right now I'm searing them off. I'm going to kind of brown the edges a little bit. And then when they're browned off, I'll go ahead and do the next step, which will be adding water. And then I'll have them cook overnight, 24 hours. And then we'll turn that into a stock that we can can up. So I'll show you more later. Alright, so we're at a couple hours later. We've seared off the meat, and now we've added water and leftover. Those are all like when you do potatoes, or not potatoes, onions and celery and all the ends that you have left over. We save those in the freezer and then stick them and save them especially for doing stock. This one might be not quite as done. So you see those are all celery tips and onion pieces that we save up, and we'll put that into the stock. You can see Jess is adding some water right now.
We'll cook it overnight.
And we'll cook it for 24 hours. There's marrow you can see in that bone that I should have pointed out beforehand. But all that will cook out, and we'll put about 3 gallons of water per container. And we'll probably
fill it up and let it go.
Yep, and then if it gets down, we fill it back up again. And we'll keep doing that throughout tonight and tomorrow.
And 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar.
Did you do that tonight already? 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Alright, we'll check in a little bit. Okay, it's been about 18 hours. So that is what we're starting to look like now. It looks like a nice stew, but it's not. But if you look at that, see how that's turned into a nice stock. Now we will separate the grease off the top of it when we actually get the processing time. But yeah, it's cooking out all that marrow. Looking with all the protein. Looks pretty yummy. Now, sometimes we save that meat, we pick it off, but we decided not to pick the meat this time because the fact there was bone shards on it from the butcher.
We know it's done because the bones are
starting to deteriorate.
Crumbly. Like you can break them with your fingernail.
So we're gonna let it go a little bit.
To be done. After supper tonight, we'll strain it.
And we'll show that too. We'll strain it, and I'll stay looking at this one over here. That was the same thing. Woo! That's hot. Oh no! Alright. We have malfunction. Okay, we'll come back in a little bit. So that's done cooking for the day. 24 hours roughly. Then we pull it out and we put the stock into the pitcher here. We use the strainer to catch any debris that might be in there, you know, pieces of celery or onions or bone or whatever. And as it settles, you'll see the fat separate off from the stock. We'll pull the fat off of there and get rid of it because we don't like to eat that. And then after that,
it can wreck your seals.
Yeah, it'll mess. It's just unappetizing. And then after that, we'll start canning it. So we'll show that in a few. All right, so we've let the stock settle a little bit. You can see quite obviously the separation between the fat and the stock. So now we'll take some time and carefully ladle off with our professional equipment here. Take that fat off as best we can. When it gets closer, we'll use a spoon and just kind of shallow dip it. That straight fat, and we'll take that and
feed it to some special birdies.
Yeah, we used to give it to our chickens, but chickens aren't here anymore. So, but that's what we do with the fat. Ladle it off. Bonus footage. That's the remains. All the marrow's out of there. Cooked out solid. That's all those beef bones are now beef scrap. Yeah, you can see that it's all been cooked out. The marrow's gone, and this is the last of it here. So, kind of gross looking, but sure tasty. Okay, got a bunch of the fat off. So here's the next step. We got our jars set up. We put a sterile jars. We have 1 teaspoon of canning salt in the bottom of each jar. You fill it up to about... So we moved all the stock into the jars. We didn't film it, but we put a teaspoon of canning salt into the bottom of each jar, and then put the stock in there. Jess right now is cleaning each of the brims, and she can check for any chips. We actually had a chip jar that we had to throw away, and make sure there's nothing in between the seal on the lid and the lid that she's putting on. So then now she's going to put the lids on, and then she's going to put a ring on, and then so she'll put that ring on there, and then she'll take the jar tongs, and she should take the jar tongs and put it into the canner. And in the canner, I put a gallon of water in between. It's about, we had it marked usually, but it's about 1.5 inches of water. It's about a gallon. And
check your manufacturer directions for your specific pot, your pressure canner.
And then we'll put it in here and put it at 10 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes. There's an inch head space of the stock we put in there. And then after 25 minutes, we'll let the canners cool down and we'll pull them out.
When do you start timing? You
don't start the timing until your little, your weight on the top of the canner starts going. Or if your pressure reader gets up to 10 pounds, whichever way your canner temperature will go.
Very good.
All right, rock on. All right, so last night, finished the 25 minutes of processing. I pulled them out of the pressure canners, put them on here, let them cool down. And now we'll go through, we'll take all the rings off this bone broth and wash the jars because there's a little bit of seepage. And then after that, we'll write on the, what they're on top, and then put them down in the pantry. So there we go, 14 quarts of bone broth. Looks great, yummy. Rock on.